First impressions are everything. Movies have a lot of ground to cover in a short amount of time to try and introduce the setting, characters, and conflict. The ultimate goal being to get your audience invested before the intro is over. For this list, I'm just going to be looking at animated films. And I'm just judging the way the content is introduced, not the content itself. Otherwise, this would just turn into a movie review. If the worst content in the world was introduced in a really unique and powerful way, then it could still be my number one pick. Now, my definition of an intro is kind of complicated. I thought of just looking at the first 5 minutes, but for some movies that means cutting them off mid-song. I also thought about considering the intro to be over when the title drops, but that varies for each movie too. Whenever I feel like the movie has established itself well enough and is ready for the rest of the action, that's when I'll stop my judgment. So without further ado, let's count down the top 10 Disney movie intros. Number 10. I love a good piece of exposition that's told in-universe. It seems at the start that Ralph is just narrating all of this to the audience, but when the setup is revealed, it's so creative. It's easy for this much exposition to sound incredibly forced or fake when the main character is just reading it out like this, but the dialogue here really sounds like a normal conversation that would be shared in this setting. It's a clever way to establish the setting and the rules in this universe, all while getting to know the main character. Number 9. This theme song is probably one of Disney's most heartwarming tunes. The Sherman Brothers are my heroes. The characters are introduced in such a simple, sweet way, which matches the tone for the rest of the film. Number 8. This movie introduces itself with both an opening scene and song with a great transition between the two. You understand pretty much everything you need to know about the alien side of the story and see how that's going to contrast with the main setting. The scene doesn't overstay its welcome and seamlessly moves to introduce Lilo so well. You know the conflict, the setting, and the relationships they are going to grow by the time the intro is over. It perfectly pulls you in every aspect. Number 7. A great opening number with visuals that help show off and contrast the two main settings, the human world and under the sea. Now I consider the intro to be over by the time they reach the concert, but even without having showed the main character yet, they get you so invested in this world. Number 6. I could listen to this epilogue all day long. Even though it is just exposition being shared directly to the audience, it's told in such a compelling way. The artistry is incredible and very unique. I would extend the intro to the end of the opening song, but I also think it gets you invested enough by the time the title comes up, which is pretty dang impressive, especially since they do it in under 3 minutes. Number 5. This Is Halloween is one of Disney's best opening songs, hence why it's almost cracked my top 3. And Jack's reveal is probably one of Disney's best character introductions. They get across so much enthusiasm for this holiday, which is crucial to understand the tone and future conflict. You understand how this town operates and see all of the characters. And all of it comes at you in such an artistic, upbeat way that always leaves me so excited for the rest of the movie. Number 4. I think this film could easily swap places with either of my next 2 picks. I had to be a little more subjective and drop this one down a bit, but that doesn't lessen the power of the intro at all. It's probably Disney's second most powerful intro, just below my first pick. The only reason it's here is because I think the next 2 opening songs are better, at least when I'm listening to them on their own. When paired with these visuals though, this intro just feels so grand. It establishes its tone so well between the song exposition and scenes, which flex the best thing about this movie, the villain. Frollo is without a doubt Disney's best. Showing him off in the intro gets you so ready to see what comes next. Number 3. Arabian Nights is such a rock star of a song. Robin Williams' performance is so compelling and he pulls you into the story so quickly. The mood is set so well in the first few minutes and continues through one jump ahead. I feel like that song fits into the intro as well, and the rest of the action is just as amazing. Number 2. I love this movie. Its opening scene has so many great moments of foreshadowing, includes so many wonderful transitions, and an amazing opening song. Tiana doesn't spend that much time with all of these side characters, but they establish that they have history so well in the beginning. A lot of newer Disney movies fail at creating backstory, specifically with their character relationships, but Princess and the Frog manages to do it with all of these characters. Each scene moves so seamlessly to the next. I'm a real nerd for a good movie transition. It establishes its location so well, you could feel the atmosphere just leaping off the screen. It checks off every box that a good intro should have. But there is one last movie that I think does it just a tad better. Before I get to that though, let me go through some honorable mentions. I almost put Tangled on the official list because the setup for the story is so interesting, but again, I'm looking at how well the movie is set up, not if the actual content is interesting. The exposition is told in a fun way, but it is still just mindless exposition. This was also close to making the list because Oodalolly is one of Disney's catchiest songs, but the intro doesn't show a lot of important information. The song itself is just simple narration. Still, I will be humming it until the day I die. And this definitely would have made the list if I knew where to properly cut off the intro. Fantasia is kind of in a category of its own because the entire movie is such a unique experience. I consider the entire first number to be the intro since it's helping to share what the rest of the film is going to be like. It doesn't have a storyline like some of the other segments, so you just get to focus on the music and beautiful animation. 2 of my favorite things. I'm a fan of the entire Hercules soundtrack, but the opening number, while catchy, just dumps a lot of exposition on you. The muses constantly narrate throughout the film, which is a unique and entertaining way to get across a lot of information, but not as impactful as the other movies on this list. And my final honorable mention, Tarzan. Another opening song I really enjoy, but I only had so much room on this list. And without further ado, number 1. I made this list with this movie in mind. You could look at just the visuals and you'd know this intro, or you could just listen to the music and you'd know this intro. The establishing shots are unreal and perfectly timed with the music. The character introductions are so well done and establish each relationship perfectly. And of course, this is all accomplished without any dialogue and with one of Disney's most iconic songs. Truly a work of art. The best thing this intro does is set itself up to come full circle at the end. I mean, it's in the song title, but the way everything is perfectly foreshadowed and comes back around, without a doubt makes The Lion King have the best Disney movie intro.